let's talk about archetypes a little bit more. Archetypes are just roles that a fighter can take in a particular fight, which means sometimes a fighter that's generally a hunter can turn into a sniper or the outside fighter if the situation arises. Just like a hero in a story can turn into a villain depending on the circumstance. It's important, and I mean important, to recognize that archetypes and stylistic categorizations aren't universal. They are generalizations that map onto patterns of behavior. But humans adapt, fighters adapt, which means not every fight is going to be the same role for the same fighter every single time. Sometimes the sniper will become the hunter. Sometimes the Tasmanian devil won't move as much. Sometimes the gritty tactical brawler will just stay on the outside and snipe safely. Sometimes you'll see a like button and you'll hit it, and sometimes you'll see the notification bell and you'll hit that too. There are two primary categorizations that most fighters are going to fall into just because of how fights play out. Most fights are going to have the dichotomy of the hunter and the sniper. Hunter being the fighter trying to close the distance, putting on pressure and on the front foot and work the inside or a tighter range. Then the opposite of that is the sniper, the one trying to keep the distance, generally more on the back foot, wanting to throw long range strikes. Now, on some rare occasions, you have fights with neither archetype, where there's like a consistent level of backwards and forwards pressure. Two men willingly standing at range and not moving much and exchanging long range shots, which we're going to look at some fights like that very soon. That's an example where you kind of have two snipers just on the outside, just sniping at each other, or two men in tight fighting on the inside, not moving much. A lot of clinch work, a lot of inside work. This can happen in boxing, this can happen in kickboxing, this can happen in Muay Thai, MMA. In that case, you kind of have, I wouldn't even say they're two hunters, but two tight range inside fighters, kind of hunters. If there's a significant amount of movement in a fight, there's generally going to be the dichotomy of the hunter and the sniper. The hunter who's going to want to come forward, and the sniper who's primarily going to want to go back. Now, those are the general rules. That's the easy way of looking at things, but things get more complex when we look at the more rare and complicated archetypes. Some of the complicated archetypes fit better with either a hunter or a sniper. Like, for example, Tasmanian devils and gritty tactical brawlers make great hunters because Tasmanian devils, Mike Tyson, for some reason, every time I mention Tasmanian devils, he pops up perfectly. He's like a perfect example. They have the speed and the explosiveness and the footwork to really bring the fight to a sniper, chase him down, cut off trajectory, so on and so forth. Gritty tactical brawlers can bring the fight and be successful in that firefight once they chase down a sniper. But again, those are generalizations. Archetypes, anytime you hear anything about styles, is generalizations. Styles aren't always going to perfectly fit. In fact, they almost never will perfectly fit. In contrast, the calm counterpuncher usually is more in line with the sniper role. If a sniper stays at range, more distance equals more reaction time equals more countering opportunities. So the calm counterpuncher and the sniper usually go together quite well. Now I'll kind of like talk about some of the I'll talk about which archetypes do best in the certain circumstances or against certain types of opponents. Adaptive athletes and wildcard warriors are the most unpredictable and diverse, so they fall into both categories quite easily. With a sniper, they can be great snipers, they can be great hunters. They're quite all over the place. They're diverse. Tasmanian devils, like we said, hunters, but what they dominate against is slow and stationary opponents. So if you think of somebody like a Lomachenko, the worst thing you can do versus a Lomachenko or a Mike Tyson is be somebody that's slow and just stationary, because they will literally run circles around you and just annihilate you. Kind of like Jan was struggling keeping up with Corey Sandhagen because he was moving around him so much, and so Jan had to start turning to go with him. So Tasmanian devils specialize in dominating slow stationary opponents. Hunters in general, all the types of hunters, dominate an opponent with no ability to hurt or escape them. So kind of like when Ilya Taporia was fighting Alexander Volkanovski. Ilia Topuria was the hunter, and the fight got real bad once we realized Alex didn't have the ability to hurt Ilia. Now that he can't hurt Ilia, he can't slow him down. If he can't slow him down, the hunter is going to catch up to you and hurt you bad. Snipers dominate opponents with smaller reach and those who can't close the distance. So if you're trying to chase down a sniper but you don't have the footwork, or you don't have the ability to find your way inside, you're gonna get picked apart. Gritty tactical brawlers dominate in exchanges. Think of Holyfield. I just did a breakdown on Holyfield versus Riddick Bowe. I'm going to do a breakdown on Dustin Poirier and how he knocked out Benoit Saint Denis in an exchange. Adaptive athletes dominate with repetitive opponents that show the same patterns. So if you think about adaptive athletes, they're usually very high IQ. John Jones, they adapt in situations, kind of like how he set up Daniel Cormier with the head kick. Terrence Crawford making crazy reads and looking for opponents' weaknesses and easily finding them. Same thing with Floyd or Ino Uwe, or a bunch of different great fighters fall. A lot of great fighters are in the adaptive athletes category just because they can morph into so many styles. Calm counterpunchers dominate also with repetitive patterns and particularly slow opponents. If you're slow and you're repetitive, kind of like a good example is what Tank did to Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz isn't slow, but he was repetitive. He threw the same right hand a few times. Tank stepped outside, slipped, uppercut, knocked him out, counterpunch. Wild card warriors don't really dominate anyone necessarily. They can, but they can surprise anyone. The wild card warriors, again, that's why they're wild. They're unpredictable. Now, we're getting towards the end. The reason why part 2 of this archetype breakdown is coming out is because I'm going to use UFC 299 as a showcase for my system of stylistic categorization. I will look at MVP, who I will deem a wild card Tasmanian one-shot sniper, meaning he's a good mix of 3 elements, primarily the one-shot sniper. Then I will look at a little bit of Dustin Poirier, who's I think the perfect MMA example of a gritty tactical brawler. Then I'm going to look at Chito Vera versus Sean, because it's rare to get a matchup of double snipers where one sniper gets forced into the hunter role. Chito was trying to chase Sean down, but he doesn't have the footwork and he didn't have the setup, so he got picked apart and annihilated and 50-44. But as I said before, archetypes are just roles, and depending on the circumstance, you might have to change roles. So that final fight of Sean versus Chito is going to be a good example of people having to change roles that they're not normally accustomed to. And it'd also be a good example how one sniper can be better than another, even if they technically share the same or similar archetype. For right now, that is all, Fight Scientists. I will see you very soon. I'm probably going to start uploading tonight, and I'm mixing in probably some kickboxing and Muay Thai coming soon, and then we got boxing coming in the weekend, probably a little bit of boxing during the week. So just look out for all that. Like I said, turn on the notification bell, and that is all Immortality Serum.